Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Natalie, can you hear me okay?
Perfect.
Okay, awesome. Hey, yeah, Happy Wednesday, everyone. Love seeing all these beautiful smiles. So thank you again for being on today's team meeting. We got a lot of good stuff to provide. Broker update. I'm going to show you a video that I want you to get some perspective. We're going to talk a little bit of AI as well, and how AI has revolutionized how we see things. And then ultimately, we're going to talk about non-contingent offers, the do's and don'ts, and all of the great stuff about non-contingent offer. Then we have our food sponsor who's going to provide you with some insight to his company. And Fernando giving you some updates on Lender. And then Matt and Javier will be giving you some good information on Tidal as well. So are you guys ready? We can do better than that. Are you guys really ready? Awesome. All right. That's how I like it. All right. You know how we like to start it here at the South Bay office with our mission, our belief, and our vision. So our mission is to provide agents with a place where they will be empowered, trained, and motivated to experience growth, wealth, and the legacy that allows them to live their best life possible. Our beliefs. When the value of your own company align with your own beliefs, you know you found your professional home. And our vision, to achieve amazing professionals and personal development so that KW South Bay remains the agency of choice. Absolutely. Why do you think we do this every single team meeting? Motivation? Okay. What else? Huh?
Being enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic? Okay, perfect. But it's just the core beliefs of what we have here at our office, because I'm a true believer to the culture. I think what sets us apart from other brokerages is our culture. And to envision and really understand what that belief system is really sets the core of our values. So this is why I've been doing this for 5 consecutive years. Every team meeting, I say the same thing. Okay. By this time, all of you should already have it memorized, but that's part of the reason behind it. So thank you very much for participating. We're at the last week of May. Are you excited? Summer is upon us. Technically speaking, summer is not till the 21st of June, but I think a lot of us start celebrating summer already, during Memorial Day weekend. People are at the lake, people are at the beaches, people are at the rivers, and all that fun stuff. And people are on the pool. I was one of them in my pool. That's why I got a little bit of a tan. So not that I went on vacation, but thank you again. I'm very humble to have all of you as part of this amazing office that I truly believe is one of the best in the South Bay. And it's not because of leadership, staff, it's because of all of you. Okay, so give yourselves a round of applause for being part of an amazing office. Yeah. Yep. All right. So let's go ahead and continue. Next slide. All right. So one food too. Jimmy John's sandwiches, compliments of our lunch sponsor. But in essence, it just resonates the importance of understanding what we do is competition, but it's within us. The beauty is we cannot foresee what our expectations are, right? But we can only conclude that if you go out and do the necessary activities. And the activities lead to what? Opportunities, right? And the awesome part of what we do is we just never know when those opportunities. But if you're not doing the activities, it'll never resonate, okay? And myself and a lot of agents who have been here for a very long time know the hard work of it. And we're going to have a little bit of a glimpse of how AI has also kind of merged into society and how that has impacted us as real estate professionals as well. All right. Next slide, please. Not that one. All right, so we want to thank our lunch sponsor, 911 Restoration. We got Ehorn in the house. So let's give them a round of applause. Come on up here. Lori, how are you?
Very good, how are you?
Awesome. Thank you again for, of course, providing us with this amazing food. So, take it away. This is your time.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to take too much of your time just to explain what we do. So my name is Roy. I'm the owner of 911 Restoration of the South Bay. So what we do is we specialize in water damage, any mold remediation, sewage cleanup, fire, smoke damage. That's what we do pretty much on a daily basis. I know that you guys probably, was on a stuck with a client or other realtor that you find mold in the house. So we can definitely help with that. We see it all the time. Yeah, so that's what we do. We can provide excellent service. That's our goal. We have to satisfy every client. We'll make you guys happy if you give us a chance. I have some points, all right. I think I pretty much covered it. To be very quick.
What area did you cover?
South Bay. Yeah, but we walk anywhere. If you call us, we walk anywhere.
If you didn't get one of his marketing pamphlets, please raise your hand. I think you have some extras, right?
Yeah, I have some
Yeah.
here and I have my business cards over here. Feel free to grab it. Call me anytime. We're 24/7. Yeah, we can handle pretty much any job, small, large. If it's your job, it's a franchise. We can always combine or get help with the other franchise in the area. So we can pretty much do anything. We have the equipment, we have the technician that has a lot of experience, so we pretty much can handle everything.
You work with insurance?
We do. It's always fun, by the way.
Sometimes working with insurance, right?
So yeah, we deal with insurance all the time. We do the job, we bill them directly, so yeah, we do it all the time. I think I pretty much cover everything
Okay.
and
Question testing?
I just wanted to say, yes, we can arrange that. It's not us directly, it's a third party. Because it's a conflict of interest, I can go there and say, oh, you have more than the job, so we don't do that. So we send the company to do it, it's environmental, that will do the testing, air quality and a swab. And after, if they say to us, listen, we have mold, this is the recommendation, we follow that, we take care of it. When the job is done, what we recommend always to do a clearance test. Send the same company back. Do the same testing, but basically that will prove that we did our job the right way. So when it comes to mold, always a good thing to do a clearance test.
Do any of you have any questions for Rory? Yes.
For the clients, they say usually ask for like a minimum deposit.
No. It all depends. If they work with insurance, their cost is only the deductible that they deal with insurance. With us, we just deal with insurance directly, but there's no deposit.
Did you say you do pre-estimates or?
We do, yeah, it's a free visual inspection, yeah. So we can go to the client, or if you want us to meet you, we can go with you to the client, explain what we do, check the areas, and that's a free inspection.
Yes,
The
Rosie.
issue with insurance, usually when you say mold and you call them, they don't want to handle it. So how do
They
you
don't,
handle?
it's not covered issue.
Yeah, so how do
when
you
it comes to
handle
insurance.
those situations then?
I mean, if you come to a client and you say you have mold, it has visible mold, there's nothing much we can do when it comes to get it covered by insurance. It's the owner versus them. The only way they will cover it is if there is a water damage that caused the mold. So that's, if it's an instant thing, then in a few days, they will cover. Yeah. Right now?
People from outside can't hear you.
Oh, okay.
So you gotta raise your voice a little bit.
Oh, okay. I'll just stop it. Yeah,
Any
so
other
we,
questions? Yes.
Do you do pre-purchase inspections like for the buyer, and give estimates?
yes, we can. Yeah, definitely. We have multiple realtors that call us all the time and say, listen, I'm stuck with the deal. We basically cannot sell it until it's not past inspection of mold. So I know there is inspection before you sell the house. And many times they said, okay, there is moisture in the wall, they're suspicious of mold, or there is mold, and that's when we come and take care of it.
Beautiful. Any other questions? Okay, well, Ronnie, thank you very much for
Of course.
inviting us with lunch. And he's gonna stay around here for a bit. If you have any questions that come up,
Yeah.
he'll be here to answer any of your questions.
Perfect. Another thing, I have a digital brochure that the front desk have. If you want any, they can send it to you. You can share it with the client to show exactly what we do, how we do. So front desk have it.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. Please make sure if you have any questions for him, he'll be here to answer any, and make sure you also get his information and business cards. Okay, let's go ahead and continue. So I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday. We got an email. I'm not sure if you got the email, but it was from KW International. And it was an email and relates to AI. But before we go into it, this was one of the quotes that Gary Keller was talking about. And it says, when you face a problem, and you don't have the money to solve it, the smallest of life's problems become the largest life problems. I want to repeat it one more time. When you face a problem and you don't have the money to solve it, the smallest of life's problems become the largest of life's problems. Any takeaways from this quote? And this is straight out of the Wealthy Gardener. What does this mean to you? What does this resonate to you? What is this speaking out to you? Do we have problems in life? Absolutely. Every day. Do we have walls and challenges and obstacles and detours? Right? All the time. Do we have financial? Yeah.
Yeah.
All the time, right? But it's what you resonate from it that will ultimately get you out of this rabbit hole. Okay? Because we can complain and we can say, oh, it's me, I don't have the means, and we can dwell on it. Or you can take the necessary action, folks, and get out of this rabbit hole and do the necessary steps to get out. Okay? You got into a career that allows you substantial potential if you're willing to put in the time, effort, and energy. You got to sacrifice a little bit. Okay? And I'm speaking for myself because I know what it takes. Real estate is not easy, but it is very rewarding once you have that connection. Okay? And that next slide. So this was a survey that was done on top AI use cases in 2025 in comparison to 2024. Okay. Here's what stands out to us. When AI first came out, we all used it to ask simple questions with direct answers. The more we used it, our questions have gotten deeper because our trust in AI has gotten higher. Will you agree or disagree with this?
I agree.
Yeah, right? Before, last year, when we were introduced to AI, we were surface talking to it, right? But now we're going into deep conversations with it. And look at the difference from 2024 to 2025. What is the number one thing? Therapy and companionship with artificial intelligence. That's the number one thing. Number 2 is organizing my life. New case. Number 3 is finding purpose. New use case. Number 4 is enhancing learning. Number 5, generating codes for prompts. Number 6, generating ideas. Number 7, fun and nonsense. And number 8, improving codes for pros. Now let's go back to last year. The number 1 thing was generating ideas, which is now the 6th position in 2025. Number 2 was therapy and companionship. That was number 2. So it went up from last year. I'm interested to find out what 2026 has to say, right? Number 3 says specific searches, right? Number 4, editing text. Number 5 was exploring topics of interest. Number 6, fun and nonsense, which dipped down in 2025. Number 7, troubleshooting. And number 8 was enhanced learning. From category at the very bottom, it went up to rank number 4 in 2025. Okay? Next slide. It's really important here. The study reveals that people are lonely and they're craving emotional connection and support. If it is true for the population in general, then it is generally true for your business. In real estate industry today, there's more emphasis on being digitally based with no physical connection than ever before. Science says this is a mistake. Physical human interaction is the number 1 thing people crave. Period. End of conversation. Interesting. Next slide. So here are a couple takeaways. When your business model takes physical human interaction away from people, you're not serving them as you should. The trick is you have to create meaningful in-person experiences that add value to the people in attendance. Why? Because if the in-person interaction provides nothing over a digital experience, people will mistakenly choose digital by default. Interesting fact. What does that say to you? What does that mean? More and more people are having more personal conversations with your phone than with real human beings. Fact. We're getting more answers by than interactions with you and I. Fact. Interesting, right? Very interesting. The numbers don't lie. The facts doesn't lie. The stats don't lie. It's a true reality of what people feel right now. Fact. I still believe even during COVID times, when we lost that touchy feeling, look at children during COVID time, how much it's impacted them in school that now they're behind 2 to 3 years. Fact. I know, because I have kids that are challenged right now.
Still behind.
They're behind. Fact. Because they cannot focus and concentrate being on Zoom for hours and hours and hours. Fact. So in essence, technology is wonderful, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not taking that away. It streamlines, it gives us focus to do more and more business. True. But in essence, it also takes away that touchy feeling, right? The eye contact, the emotional aspect, the smiles, the interaction with someone, right? Fact. I think this is a valuable lesson for all of us and the importance of why you need to show up. Show up, folks. Just like on listing appointments, buyer consultations, great with emails and text messages. It's like you even see it at restaurants. People are texting each other right in front of them instead of having a conversation. Take your phone out of your pocket and at least for an hour and 30 minutes, have a conversation. Yes or yes?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any takeaways from this? Anyone? Show up, yeah.
We stand out.
Yeah, and guess what? You showed up today, so give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, let's continue. Next slide, please. I think we have our listing pitches, needs and wants. Okay, listing pitches, buyers, needs and wants. Come on, we always have a couple people. Jim? There you go, see?
Looks like Northbridge, about 2,800 square feet, 3-bedroom covered bed, all brand new. 18311, I remember that. 18311 J Street in Northridge. They're holding open house both Saturday and Sunday from 1 to 4. Brand new house with a pool, and it's completely remodeled, all brand new. And it was done by a Palos Verdes resident, so you know it's done with no expense spared. So I don't know if you guys are out in Northridge, but go wherever the business is, right?
Yeah.
How much is this?
How much?
1.649. $700 a square foot for brand new construction.
Very good. Awesome. Anyone else? Yes.
I have a new listing in Inglewood, Greenwich area, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, an R2 lot. Has a digital unit of 20 square feet. Mostly updated.
Okay,
What is it?
beautiful.
About 920. It's not on the MLS yet. I just got the paperwork yesterday.
Oh, congratulations. Awesome. Yes. Beautiful. Beautiful. Anyone else?
I have a 2-bed, 2-bath condo.
Speak up.
I have a 2-bed, 2-bath condo in Eaglewood coming up.
Nice hair, by the way.
Eaglewood coming up.
Nice condo.
It's 1248 square feet and we're listing it at 540.
Beautiful. Awesome. Good job. Awesome. Anyone else? Joe,
So
speak up, please, for people on Zoom.
I've got vacant land in Manhattan Beach, which is rare.
Yeah.
It's 2 lots. It's only got 1 APN number right now, but it can be split easily. So if you know anybody that has $5 million, please give me a call.
$5 million. Yes.
2-bedroom, 2-bathroom ADU, brand new construction in Sherman Oaks for 3-2 lease.
New construction?
A new construction, yeah.
Okay, with an ADU.
An ADU, 3,000 for a new, brand new ADU, 2-bedroom, 2-bath and.
Beautiful.
For 3,000.
3,000?
3,200, yeah,
Okay, beautiful. For lease.
yeah.
For lease, an ADU for rent, lease for 3,200. Anyone else? All right, let's go ahead and continue. All right, next slide, please. Okay, next we have Fernando Diaz. Let's give Fernando a round of applause. I'm a cookie state, my friend.
Previous slide, we're gonna talk about my problems. You saw them. Let's get rid of it. Exactly. Every problem we have, right? So anyway, guys, real quick, let's talk about mortgages. Mortgages still are staying elevated. It's pretty much flat, but high flat, if you want to call it that. The Fed's minutes were just released from the meeting they had this month in early May, and it doesn't seem like they're in any hurry or anticipation of cutting rates anytime soon. We're fine on that. But the big thing is they're waiting for the big budget bill to come through and tariffs. So the treasury market, especially, which controls our interest rates, is really paying attention to the big, the tax bill, okay, and the spending. So it wants to see progress there, and then it will probably give us a little bit of a, what is this, cater? It'll give us a little bit of, but if it doesn't see the progress that it wants, we have to be honest and real here, rates may stay elevated for a while. Okay, so that's that on that. Now, unfortunately, I can't hold this and read. I can in a minute. Now, here's what we're gonna do real quick, and Simon's gonna throw out some stuff. Real quick though, before I get into this, I was at Compass earlier since 21, last week Realty One. One of the trends and things that I've noticed is inventory obviously is elevated. I heard at one of the meetings, I didn't fact check it, it doesn't matter, but they say that inventory right now in the South Bay, whatever, however they define that, is at a 2019 high. So we haven't seen as much since 2019. Okay, I think that helps, makes it a little healthier. Now, what I do see, and I'm curious to see, is this. A lot of the bigger teams, medium-sized teams, just individual agents, everybody seems to have a lot of inventory coming on the market in June. So I'm curious to see what that does, because as you guys know, right, inventory is high, days on market is longer, it's a little bit harder to sell a home. Okay, so one of the things that, and I told you guys, buy downs, you have to incentivize the buying public, not appease your seller, appease the buying public to come to you. Okay, that way you get multiple offers, and you have to try to incentivize them with incentives like buy downs. First one I've seen in 2 years, a 3-2-1. Okay, I don't know if you guys know what that is versus a 2-1 or a 1-1, but hypothetically, to keep it simple, if the rate is 7, the first year they're at 4, then 5, then 6, and boom, boom, going all the way through. Okay, so they're paying some serious money for that. Sellers willing to do it. I don't know the situation with the seller, how long it's been on the market, nothing like that yet, but it's the first one I've seen. So interesting. Okay, keep that in mind. Also, condos. We just did one that 2 lenders couldn't do, only because I had to bribe my condo department.
Fernando.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because now the camera is facing.
Oh, I didn't know there was a camera. What's up, man? Who's that? I didn't know that was there. So if you guys get a listing for a condo, I highly suggest you get all the information up front, because the number one thing we're seeing is this. Insurance carriers have dropped almost all, they've all had to re-up, and here's what ends up happening. They re-up and try to go the cheap route, okay, for the HOA, which is fine. They don't know what they're doing in most cases, right? And guess what the cheap route is? Now the condo is no longer eligible for regular financing. That's the cheap route. And you're running into a lot. So every time you get one, come see me. I can send it to my condo department. They'll review everything for you and let you know if you have a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and or what needs to get done to get thumbs up. Okay, we had to work hard on this one that funded today to get that thumbs up. It was gray as can be in terms of the latitude we got on it. So just be aware. Okay, now.
In those cases, it's zero. You won't be able to close.
And not unless we go, well, you have another option in a lot of cases. Okay, it's called a non-warrantable product, like a non-QM product, but that always requires a much higher down payment and a much higher rate in a market that already has higher rates. So a lot of times when you tell your buyer that, they're like, all right, well, that's it. So that happens. Yes, question.
You said when the condo association trying to get like cheaper insurance, are they like not getting liability, or what are they not getting that they should be getting?
Replacement cost coverage, the way they're doing it is the big one. Okay, so what ends up happening is, don't forget, they're getting dropped. So here's the funny one. The selling agent told me today over at Compass that insurance company that we were haggling with for the last 2 weeks to try to get the verbiage the way we wanted it, just dropped the HOA today. Because of all the hassling and the pounding that we did with them. So it can be curious to see going forward how they approach it. But that's that on that. So real quick, so that Simon could throw out some gifts for you guys, some prizes. The first quarter affordability report came out for California. Interesting stuff. So keep in mind, this is an average of the whole first quarter. It's not 1 month in particular, even though the April report's out. Okay. So what is the percentage of California households that could afford to purchase a medium price home in the first quarter? 60. I'll give you a thing. 60. Who said that? 60. He gave him a prize. He's close enough. It's 17%. By the way, that ain't good. So just FYI. What do you think the median home price was average in the first quarter for a single family home in California?
975.
What did you say?
975.
No, way off. Way off. 850. This guy right here. 846, 830. Okay, now we're gonna get good. With a 20% down payment, how much income do you have to make to qualify for this median home price in the first quarter? That's with a 20% down payment.
220.
All right, just give it to him. 218. So when you're talking to people,
That experience.
yes, and they make $1,100 on their taxes because they're self-employed. And gotta figure out alternative sources. By the way, I always tell people, don't get negative on that because you don't know sometimes the other half of it. Okay, and what I mean by that is sometimes the parents and grandparents have massive down payment for them. Yeah, they don't make the 218, not even close, maybe half of that. But all of a sudden the numbers work. Okay, I've seen that many times. I told you the story. I had one client, can't believe this. I mean, I want to be adopted by that family. But buying a $3.6 million house in Pasadena. Okay, you know what the gift from the parents was? $3 million. Yep. So they didn't make, if I made just about 200, for all I know. I don't remember. That was crazy. So I'm still petitioning to get, what do you call it, adopted. It hasn't happened. So, all right. What is the median sales price for a condo townhouse in California in the first quarter? Okay, I'm gonna go to Rosie. She's closest. It's 670. Now, what is the income needed with 20% down to qualify for that? On average? How much? Nope.
150.
175.
Give it someone else. Well, we'll pass. It's 172, 400. Okay. Let me go back here, and then here's what this one was interesting. Okay, what is the median home price in the state of California as of in April? The median home price. This just came out last week.
900.
It said 900. All right, throw it to Rosie. You get mine. No, it is 910,000. 160, the highest point it's been ever. Now, I think there's a correction coming. So we don't keep this going too long. I'm going to tell you what, one of the things that we saw, let's talk about LA County. What is the median home price in April for LA County? Single family home. Right here. Who said 850? She gets it. Boom. 850, 270. Okay. Now, one of the things I noticed is this. In the first quarter, almost all the counties, our county has been declining. Like from January to February, then February to March. Okay. Little, nothing significant. Okay. Then all of a sudden we took this big run up in April. Okay. In LA County. What's weird is while we were going down, Orange County, San Diego County, San Bernardino, Riverside, a lot of those counties were sort of still going up, marginally. This time it flipped. Like we're going up, and a lot of those other counties right now either flatlining or going down. So it just interesting, information that I saw. So let's see what happens. I have a feeling that we're going to get more of a pullback May. More importantly, I think in June when these reports come out, I think you're going to start seeing prices come down incrementally. Nothing to be alarmed with, but incrementally. And we do need it to have a more stable and balanced market, if you want to call it that. And that's it. Unless you guys have any other questions.
A bill was passed. It was something good for the realtors, but I couldn't understand what was it lately this week.
I didn't see that this week. I did hear that, and you guys, I don't know if you guys ever discussed
something.
What is that bill? Maybe you guys know now where AD something, I can look at it right now, I don't have the time, but if you had an illegal converted garage or something in your, I think Al and I discussed it, right? And you've been renting it prior since 2020 or something like that, you can get a contractor to say it passes health and safety standards, and the local municipality can't give you grief. They have to basically give you ADU status for it. Did you guys hear that? It passed. Because I have a realtor right now petitioning, fighting for it. He's like, Fernando, they don't know what they're doing, but I have by the what. It's right here, we from the state government. Yeah. So instead of spending hundreds of thousands to convert your garage and doing it all right, it's as long as a contractor tells you that it does not present a health and safety issue, give you the permit. And you have to prove that it's been rented. So whether cancel checks, maybe just a lease agreement, I don't know what all the requirements will be. But interesting thing, I just found out about a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, that's interesting. That changes a lot of things around here for a lot of people. So I don't know, you guys might want to look into that or figure it out. What
add to the square footage if you.
I would imagine if you get a permit for the ADU, I don't know how they treat it. I would say, that piece is obviously permitted, but I would definitely look into that. That is hot. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, maybe title Nels. Matt is here, I believe.
The name of the bill in a second.
Yeah, maybe title will know that information. Yeah, good stuff, Fernando. Thank you very much. All right, let's let's go ahead and continue. Next slide. All right, so a couple broker updates. Did everyone see the email that was sent out? If not, you should be receiving an email on the new revised June 2025 zip forms. California Association of Realtors. Can you see the email? Okay. Yeah, it was an email with a summary and then also all of the redlining of all of the new forms. If not, please just send us an email. We'll go ahead and send it. I believe they're going to send it a second time. Should be coming from the office or from me actually. So if you haven't seen it, you'll see it soon. All right, I want to touch on non-contingent offers, non-contingent contracts. So does everyone know what a non-contingent offer is? Anyone? Rosie, you were saying?
Yeah, you remove the contingency, especially, you know, insurance, loan appraisal.
Right.
If you take it as it is, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, you're basically removing all of the pillars of protection of the buyer's earnest deposit when you release contingencies, right? And this particular scenario is from the very beginning, okay? Typically, investors are the ones that usually have the cash, our money, they're willing to take out the loan, sometimes the appraisal contingencies, but then we also have other layers, right? Physical inspection, seller disclosure, so on and so forth, right? So a non-contingent can mean many things for many different people. So I wanted to kind of touch on this a little bit and really go deep dive into the pros and cons regarding non-contingent offers. So next slide, please. So what is a non-contingent contract? Next slide. The phrase non-contingent usually refers to a real estate contract that does not give the buyer a contractual right to cancel, even if the buyer's expectations regarding the purchase are not met. Meaning that if you release your contingencies, you can still cancel, but you may be forfeiting your buyer's earnest deposit, okay? So the buyers with a non-contingent contract would not have a right to cancel just because the buyer cannot get a loan to purchase the property or obtain insurance or inquire in an appraisal at the purchase price or is not satisfied after an inspection. As a result, if the buyer does not go through with the purchase, the buyer may be at risk of losing their deposit or paying other damages to the seller. Okay? Yes.
I have a question.
Let me get through the presentation and then I'll answer questions, Jim. Thank you. All right, next slide. Okay, so given the risk, why would a buyer write an offer without contingencies, right? Next slide. In some parts of the state, the common practice is for sellers to give rent disclosures before they even accept an offer. Where is that at? Not in Southern California. But guess what? Up north, this is a common practice. They provide all seller disclosures before an offer is even accepted because they want to go aggressive with non-contingent offers. They want to know, are you in or are you out? We're not going to sugarcoat it. We're not going to give you the time necessary. You want the property? Here you go. On the same token of that is, here are all of the seller disclosures. Okay? So this is what it's referring to. Other sellers of the property in high demand may similarly refuse contingent offers. Buyers in those situations believe that only way to acquire property is by having non-contingent contract, and that is the risk of doing so and outweighed by desire to have an offer accepted and own a home regardless of its condition or the cost. Again, it depends on how bad they want the property, right? And if you're willing to play ball with me, these are the conditions that the seller's asking. And that's perfectly fine. That's the beauty of negotiations, ladies and gentlemen. Right, next slide. So how is liquidated damage clause relevant to a non-contingent offer, right? Does everyone know, except Steve? Except Steve. Liquidated damage clause is an agreement in advance that a seller is entitled to the agreed upon damage amount if the buyer defaults. for sale of residential properties up to 1 to 4 units, which the buyer intends to occupy. The presumption is that the buyer's deposit is reasonable estimate of damage if the deposit does not exceed the 3% of the purchase price. If the buyer has no contractual right to cancel, does so anyway, the buyer may be in breach of the contract. Okay? Have you seen when you submit an offer less than 3% and the listing agent sends a counter offer asking the buyer to increase for a 3%? Because they know that the maximum amount of damage that a seller can get is up to 3% if they're living in the property, if it's going to be their primary residence. Does that make sense? Okay, interesting. All right, next slide. Does a buyer with a non-contingent contract have the right to cancel the contract written without a contingency? Next slide. If the seller gives the buyer a real estate transfer disclosure statement, better known as the TDS, and it's a TDS, after the buyer submits the offer, there's a statutory right to the cancel, but only within 5 days after delivery of the TDS by mail or email. That's on the contract. If the written disclosure is made in advance of acceptance of the offer, this cancellation right does not apply. However, if the TDS is modified during the transaction, then there would be a similar right to cancel the following updates. Okay, so what it says is, if I provide you with all seller disclosures right before we even accept the offer, the buyer has looked at all the disclosures, right? In essence, they still have their due diligence to do any inspections of the property, right? So in essence, if I provide you with all of the disclosures and we accept your offer, and then the buyer decides to cancel, that's a breach of contract. You can cancel, but the seller has the right over the earnest deposit. Okay. Now, it also says that after the fact, meaning that if I provide you with all disclosures and then during escrow something comes up that was not disclosed to the buyer has 5 additional days to review, inspect, and ultimately cancel. Interesting, right? Even so, if they release all contingencies, because they only got what you provided at the time of acceptance. Anything after that time frame is new material fact. Does that make sense? Therefore, the buyer has 5 additional days to do their due diligence, inspect, get contractors, evaluate, get estimates, and determine do they want to continue moving forward or not. Does that make sense? Okay. So if that's the case, then there may be a loophole for the buyer to back out of the deal. So it's not as you think it is. It's not as black and white as you think. Does that make sense? Next slide. So what are the risks and benefits to a seller of an accepted offer without or with contingencies? Next slide. Buyers without contingencies may not be able to go through with a purchase and notwithstand the notice of non-contingent offers, may not willingly give up their money to the seller. Deposits are not automatically released to the seller, right? It has to be mutually agreed. This is why escrow will not just release it just because the buyer was in breach of the contract. Because the escrow company is also trying to protect their best interest from a potential lawsuit. They don't want to be in a lawsuit. Neither do any of the agents. So this is why they ask for an additional amendment of cancellation in order for the escrow officer to understand both parties' position. Okay, so the deposits are not automatically released. Okay, so if you think that by having a particular language on the offer, it doesn't work that way, folks. Okay, so I want to be crystal clear. If the seller provides the buyer with the TDS after the buyer submits the offer, which is mostly what we practice here, right? We usually do open houses. we get offers, we negotiate terms, we accept an offer, and then we go into escrow. Then the buyer has their time frame to do their inspections and all of the fun stuff, right? In that time, we also provide what? Seller disclosures. Okay? And when must a listing agent and a seller provide seller disclosures to a buyer?
7 days.
Okay, someone says 7 days.
I said 5.
Okay, 5 days, yeah. Within 5 days after acceptance, you must provide seller disclosures. And if the agent doesn't provide seller disclosures, what can the buyer do? The buyer can send a notice to the seller to provide us with these crucial disclosures. And if the seller doesn't provide them within the time period, the buyer has the right to cancel and ultimately retain the rights to a deposit. Okay? Even a non-contingent offer, because the buyer doesn't have their disclosures to make a sound judgment to go forward or not. Does that make sense? Okay? All right. Where did I leave off? The short contingency period can have the effect of bringing up and hopefully resolving issues early before too much time and money has been spent, rather than postponing important considerations at the end of the real estate transaction when buyers and sellers and others have become invested in the outcome or hardening in their positions. Buyers who feel powerless in the purchase process may be more likely to become disgruntled after the sale, which could increase the possibility of post-closing legal claims. Even if the buyer claim is contractually baseless, the seller will have the incurred time and cost to defend against the seller. Yeah, absolutely. Even though you may have a strong case from your sellers, just the time, effort, and energy, if someone files a lawsuit, there's nothing you can do. You gotta respond to it. Would you rather deal with litigation and problems or do the right thing, right? And what is the right thing? I don't know what the right thing is, because agents will do what they believe is right, right? I believe in giving the buyer the time necessary, okay? But if you are going to go with a non-contingent, just be prepared for it, because situations and outcomes can happen. Thoughts, questions, or concerns? Yes, Jim.
Another thing is, I went to a deal once. 14 days, buyer and seller are fighting. And the buyer says, I'm out of the deal. So, of course, the seller wants to keep the deposit. He gave it to his attorney. The attorney looks it over. Called up his buyer. Called up his client, says, "Do you receive the preliminary title report?" He says, "No, escrow never provided it for me." Deal got canceled. So the preliminary title report, see, it's not, it's a disclosure, it's a contract, automatic contingency on the contract is that you have to approve the preliminary title report. So don't forget the prelim, because before we're doing all this stuff, we open up escrow. Escrow, you have to make sure that your escrow gets that preliminary title report as soon as possible to your buyer for disclosures, because that's the duty of the escrow officer. Sometimes the escrow officer gets busy, they don't get prelim until 7 days, or title stalls because they don't get the preliminary title report. Usually takes 2 or 3 days for it to get a prelim from a title company. So you have to make sure, because the seller thought he was going to keep the deposit and everything, but he forgot about the prelim. And just why we went all over this, it's just like the TDS. Like you get the 5 days to look it over. But the prelim is very, very, very important on every single deal that you do. So the first thing you do as an agent is to make sure. The first thing I do is when I open up an escrow, I say, please order the prelim as soon as possible and give me the copy of the EMD. And this one possible.
I mean, we can do case studies over case studies over case studies all day long. Just as a prime example. Yeah. So what do we do when these circumstances? What forms what we must use? Next slide. So does CAR have any forms that can help explain value?
If you update your lock screen settings.
Is that my phone? Explain the values. So yes, the non-contingent offer advisory form NCOA. Buyer homeowners insurance advisory form BHIA and buyer's investigation advisory card form BIA can be used for these type of non-contingent offers. You know, what we must do and must provide is the buyer, they have the ability to do any inspection, not just a general inspection. There's other inspection, roof, plumbing, electrical that they can do. We cannot stop them or not allow them to do all of their inspections. Okay, but if they are going to do a non-contingent offer, you got to provide some of these forms as well. So that way it's crystal clear to the buyer, hey, here's your risk. If you want to go with a non-contingent offer and you do decide not to purchase the property, you know, we give you enough information to make a sound decision that ultimately you may jeopardize your deposit. That's simple. Okay? Food for thought.
I think they come attached with the BRBC, those forms.
No, these are separate. These are separate. So, okay. All right. That kind of concludes the non-contingent. So hopefully this information was of value. And if you do have any questions, by all means, you know, please reach out to me. I'm here to help and support. Let's continue. I think we have Matt and Javi next as our guest speaker with Fidelity National Title. Let's give them a round of applause.
Yeah.
We're gonna throw all kinds of questions at you.
We're gonna throw all kind of stuff after all this, right? Nice crowd, good crowd. So we heard you talking about that one garage conversion, non-permitted thing. So I just did a quick little lookup. Not like I know it on the back of my head on this one, but just the general update on that. It is called AB 2533 is the bill. Anything that was built as a garage conversion before that date, they could submit to the local city and they could make application to get permits for it. They would make it an ADU or a junior ADU before that date. Now, an ADU is separate from the house. A junior ADU is attached to the house. That's basically the difference of those two. You didn't know that. And then if it's after that date, January of 2020, then they have to go through the normal procedure to get it approved as an ADU or a junior ADU specifically. If it's before that date, the local regional municipalities would give you a checklist for health and safety and the things you would need to do to bring it current, but you could get it pushed through. So those are the kind of the updates on that specific. AB 2533 is what it is.
Write it down. Write it down.
AB 2533. Secondly, we wanted to mention, if you were bringing up title reports and prelims, thank you for all that. And it is important, we have a number of listing agents that open their prelim on the front end. So they take a listing, they email us, hey, let you know, I just took a new listing. Can you open the title order? And we'll attach it to your escrow, whoever you need, or just back to you. You'll have that in your hands. They usually are about 2 to 3 days. We do something that we always do on our prelims, and it's not always the case. I'm sure you've seen many prelims on the buy side of your deals where you go to look at the prelim and there's no hyperlink and there's no plotted easements. So you can't really look, like you see 3 easements in the prelim. Chris is shaking his head and you can't tell where they are. Like, well, is that on the back of the house? Is that the side of the house, right? So ours are always hyperlinked with plotted easements. That means you click on that link and it pulls up a little puzzle piece map and it's color coded with what those easements look like. Mostly on the back of the house, most of the time, or down the sides. That would be most of the time. Sometimes it says unlocatable because the actual document never tells you exactly where it is on the lot. If it has a directional, they'll find it, put it on, but if it just mentions the lot, they have no way to post it and it'll say that as how it posts itself, okay? So those are my 2 things. Javi has some really fun stuff to talk about that you'll like better than mine, but we'll let him go forward with that, okay?
So Matt and I dropped off 2 pieces of paper. One is this one with 4 QR codes, and the other one is this market data snapshot that I'll talk about next. This piece of paper with the 4 QR codes is your Los Angeles on and off market comps. You have the beach cities, the South Bay, the West Side, and then View Park Ladera. It's a lot of paper to print all of these because we have every area broken down by single family residence and condo. But it's important to know what off markets are selling inside of your areas. And the off markets, when you scan this QR code, are going to be the properties labeled with a little blue house. And that's how you know that a property is going to be sold off market. We put the blue house in like 4 different spots, so you can see what those blue houses are. But when you scan the QR code, it's actually going to open up a flip book. You can flip through it. You can identify any city inside of these areas. If there's a city that you want that is not inside of these areas, our phone and emails are at the bottom. Just shoot us a text and we can send you those on and off market comps. And these are updated monthly, so you can always reach out to us and get those. But the other piece of paper is the green, yellow, and red label piece of paper that I actually pulled for the first time last week. And Fernando was talking about it a little bit earlier, where inventory is rising. And an agent sent me a sample of this from data that he pulled a year ago and wanted me to re-pull it. And everything that you see here was green. And at the bottom, there's a little legend.
A year ago.
A year ago. 0 to 3 is 3 months worth of inventory. 4 to 6. 4 to 6 is a healthy market. And then 6 to 9 is a buyer's market. A year ago, when he pulled this data, there was no yellow, there was no red. To be honest, almost everything was below 2. There were some months of inventory and like below 1, 0.75, 0.5 months worth of inventory. And that month's worth of inventory is also known as the absorption rate. It's just a math equation, but it lets you know how many homes are on the market, how many homes are selling. But I'm going to pull this weekly for all of these area numbers. I also just pulled all of Palos Verdes by area number, and then kind of combined it into Rancho, Rolling Hills Estates, so on and so forth. And if you do not see your city on here and you want this data updated, just shoot me or Matt or I a text, and I can pull your area. I only updated it from the 19th because I thought, well, maybe I'll pull it on Wednesday, and I thought it maybe this morning, hey, it might be a little bit easier if I pull these on Fridays. And so that's what I'm going to do moving forward. And then what I'll do as I continue to pull this data, I will show you in another column that's not here yet because I've only pulled it once, but percent change. So week over week percent change, either an increase or a decrease, so that you can see how your areas are performing over time with inventory pending and closed transactions, and then the absorption rate or inventory in months inside of those areas. We've noticed inventory increasing, and it's important to keep track of this and what is happening inside of your areas. And it's also a good conversation piece to have and good data to know when you're talking with buyers and sellers. So those are these 2 data pieces right here. And again, both of these will be updated. This one will be updated monthly, and then I'm going to try and update this one weekly, if not bi-weekly. Anything else, Matt?
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. Yeah. So we're going to get an updated KW South Bay list so that you're all on it correctly. We're going to make sure not miss anyone. Would you like that data? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So it'll be sent out on a regular, so you can have it, comment back with questions. But it's really good data when you're going to a listing appointment. You can look at your area number, specifically to an area number, not just a zip code. So it's real micro for you when you're talking to clients, which makes you just more intelligent, which just leads to good business, right? So that's how it's going to be broken down. And again, if there's more that you'd like that we're missing, just let us know and we'll work on it, right? Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jen. Okay, I know we went a couple minutes over our time, just a couple more things. Next slide. Upcoming events. All right, Minnie Athias will be giving us a Google Build Your Brand business profile workshop. That'll be Thursday, May 29th, here at the South Bay office from 12:30 to 1:30. Please make sure to bring your laptop if you want to learn this. I believe it may be on Zoom. Yeah, via Zoom and in person. Preferably, it's best to always be in the office because that you can ask more specific questions as well. All right. Continue, next slide. Producers Club, we have Stephanie with KW Coastal Properties. Hallie will be hosting and spearheading that event this Friday, May 30th. So please be on the lookout. If not, here's the QR code. She's an amazing leader and is part of the coastal office. Next slide. The one prior. What do we have prior? Okay, so contract class this Friday, May 30th, 10:30 to 11:30. Please make sure to come in or on Zoom. Next slide. We have a free hitch up event Tuesday, June 3rd, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It'll be here. It's sponsored by Jose Lopez. Next slide. And then in honor of Father's Day, I will be grilling hamburgers. So grill, chill, and close deals. So it'll be here Thursday, Thursday, June 12th, 12 to 1:30 p.m. I already have a spot on the outside where I'll be flipping the burgers. Women are welcome because I know sometimes moms can be fathers as well. I know my mom was a father figure and a mother figure, so everyone is welcome. Okay, not just fathers, but please come and enjoy the festivities. And yeah, I'll be out there just like I do with pancakes. Awesome. And just a quick reminder, June 13th, Friday, 9 a.m. to 2, we got our King of the Hill softball tournament. We need a lot of support in cheering. We want to win this year. So we have a very solid team, live music, DJ, lots of food and drinks, and just a friendly competition. So that'll be again, June 13th. Next slide. I think that concludes our team meeting. Thanks, everyone.